Welcome to the Manuchehri podcast. Over the last 30 years, it has been my joy to assist humanity in aligning with their magnificence so they may heal, discover their natural gifts, and communicate with loved ones living on the other side. May you also experience delight while we dance in the powerful, intuitive world of energy. Let's get going. Hello, and welcome to Where Energy Meets the Divine. Before we go to what I call the phone lines, which are really voicemails, for those of you who are new to my podcast, welcome. And I used to do radio for 14 plus years. So I still think of it as live phone lines, but it's not. It's actually clear, beautiful voicemails that help me to really hear what the person has to say. So I so appreciate those. And we get a lot of questions about it. I go in order of the voicemails received. Sometimes I might skip over one temporarily if I feel like the question's been asked a lot. In the last couple of podcasts, I might just skip over one and come back to it later. But typically I just go straight through the line. So sorry if some of you are waiting, and hopefully you will get to hear your answer soon. So you get to ask any question you want. But before I do that, I wanted to talk about fear. Because as you know from listening to this podcast before, fear is an illusion. And it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. So when people are having fear about the multisensory world, that comes from their mind. That's not a true experience they're having for multiple reasons. Number one, most people have no idea what they're actually feeling. This is critical for humanity to learn it. So it's going to help the human race expand. I think it's going to be a big part of our growth and learning over the next decade or so. And I'm excited about it, as I've been talking about it for quite a while. Not as publicly as I do now. I've kind of stayed in my own little world because I have had a very busy career. But now I want to reach more people, so I'm, expanding outward, which is really fun. Here's an example. Before I began to see, hear, see and hear people who have already crossed over, so departed loved ones, I actually felt them. And I knew they were there. And the feeling actually felt really great, but I knew they were there. And every time I would feel that presence through the sides of my face, through my peripheral vision, I would see like a figure in gray. That's how I actually determined at that time what it was. Is I just would see like this figure in gray, or almost like a line, but then my multisensory vision was picking up. And so I could literally see a person for a few seconds out of my peripheral vision across the room, usually in the evening. And when I would turn my face, it would disappear. And that happened for quite a while, many months. And I finally said to the universe, I really want to see what I think are departed loved ones. And the universe told me that I was having a reaction, a neurological reaction. I was going into fear and anxiety when I would sense this gray energy, which, by the way, was a very limited aspect of my vision. When people are clairvoyant, they see all the colors of the rainbow and colors beyond this physical world. When I see a departed loved one, now, and of course, shortly after that conversation with my spirit guides, I see in pretty good detail because I'm not delivered names. I usually don't remember human names because people to me do not look like their names. They look like energy. And so people look very different. And I'm enjoying that interaction with them as I'm learning about them, that the last thing I want is a filter of their names. One of the reasons why I love doing sessions online, because it has their name right on the Zoom platform, which is really cool. So the universe said that I was having a reaction. They could sense neurologically my anxiety. And so once they sensed that, they pulled back. They would make the vision disappear. Because the last thing the universe wants to do is create any fear or anxiety, which they know is all human made and human drama. They know that. But, that's just part of their love for us and their joy for us. And so what I did is that I told the universe, I waited till it was a lovely evening. I sat down with a cup of tea, which at the time in that house, the living room was my favorite room in the house. Right now, my favorite room in the house is the room above this room, and nobody uses it. So I got to figure that one out. And I told them, I spoke out loud. Until you've really learned to quiet your mind and meditate and create that peace in your body, it's important to speak out loud. And I spoke very directly. The universe is very direct, very direct. And I said, I understand that I'm reacting, that my neurological system is reacting in fear, fight or flight, starting to release epinephrine and adrenaline when I see this gray figure across the room in the evening when I'm walking through the house. And there was more than one, there was multiple of them. And then I said, but I don't care if I'm having that reaction. I want to have full awareness of departed loved ones. It was a major desire of mine. Little did I never had the desire before, but when I started to see them and I was pretty confident I knew what it was, I wanted to experience it. And so not long after that, the universe, regardless of whatever reaction I was having in my body, made it visible for me so that I could have an experience. I may talk often about clairvoyance, but it really doesn't matter what someone's skill sets are. And the more you practice intuition, which is a muscle, the stronger it gets. So most psychics, professional psychics, what we want is a knowingness. We don't care if we see it, hear it, or feel it. We just want to know. So if you've been feeling that you're kind of on the edge of having more multisensory experiences, but maybe you feel similar to my reaction, 28 years ago or so, that you may be preventing the full meal deal of your experience, of your multisensory experience, so you can actually have a conversation with the universe and let them know what your true intentions are, regardless of how your body's reacting, so that you can experience the multisensory world. Luckily, I think for people who are on the fence about how scary the multisensory world is, or that there's dark energy in the universes, which it's never been my experience. And actually, all forms of energy are very helpful. There are some times when I'm working on a person and their body needs black velvet. They need a beautiful black velvet energy, which I think might be all the colors of the rainbow, if I recall correctly. So when we look at people who've had near-death experiences, and I mean authentic ones, I've talked to a lot of people who tell me they have had a near-death experience, and then I ask them, I go, so you had to be resuscitated? Oh, no. I'm like, okay, well, then you weren't dead. You have to be flatlined to have a near-death experience, or something very, 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 very similar. I mean, you can't have a pulse or a heartbeat for a few moments at least to then have a near-death experience. But all those that are actual, real, accounted near-death experiences, everyone only reports the beauty and the love and the kindness that exists as they are wanting to leave their body because it feels so good, and not wanting to come back when they're told they're coming back. It's not time for them to go. They have to get back in. That is also the truth of every person that I've experienced who's crossed over. Their experience was beautiful, even if they were super angry, because some people are angry when they leave their bodies. Some people are really sad when they leave their bodies. But as their energy moves out, they have a lot of fun. But most people are thrilled as they start to slip away, and they have profound experiences and a lot of knowingness. So that's an extra tip for you. Go talk to the universe and tell them if you feel like you're not progressing in the way that you want, or you're having experiences but they're not being fully expressed to you. Talk to the universe and tell them that if you're having a reaction, a fearful one, that you want them to bypass that isn't actually what you're really feeling, that your mind-made emotions, and that you want to have a profound experience with the multisensory world forever, because it's definitely worth it. Okay, I'm going to go to the phone lines really voicemails. If you want to leave a question, you can just go to energyintuitive.com. It's my website, or mariemanuchehri.com, and go to the podcast page. And there's instructions on how to leave a voicemail. And we will give you a free self-hypnosis that you can listen to at your leisure. Okay.
Hi, Marie. My name's Lorraine. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I'm 63 years old. So my question is, or how you can help me, is last November, actually 2022, I lost my job. I don't really know why. They just got on a Zoom call and they let me go. They gave me, 3 months salary and just said, this is what we're doing. Maybe it's part of downsizing or whatever. I'm really unsure. But since then, I've gone on 78 interviews. Some of them are like 2 or 3 for companies, and still have not gotten a job. Last Friday, I heard back from a company that I had done my 4th interview with, and they said, "Oh, we lost out to somebody else." So I'm just wondering, I really want to contribute, and also financially need the money. So just what am I doing wrong? What is happening? If you could help me out, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Okay, Lorraine. I mean, clearly the universe is talking to you up a storm. Whatever work you were doing before is not fulfilling for you. I didn't even feel any passion in your body about applying for these jobs. So you're applying out of fear, and that is not going to get you to really contribute in the way that you desire. True contributing to humanity comes from doing things that bring you joy. And you haven't even though you've had some time off, you have not given yourself the time that you need to really figure that out. So here's my suggestion. Of course, you have free will and you can do whatever you want. I would go get a fun job, something that might give you some health care. Maybe it's not going to pay you the top dollar that you're looking for, but something that kind of takes the edge off for you, because humans worry so much about wealth, which is not healthy at all. And it actually limits the flow of money to us when that happens. And I've spoken a lot on this topic. So I would practice the examples that I've given throughout the podcast. So I would go get a fun job. If it were me, I'd probably go get a job at a coffee shop, and a coffee shop that could offer me some health care. Not that that's a concern for me, but so many humans worry about healthcare. And maybe start off working part-time or full-time, get that whole worry off of you, and then start to really focus on what makes you personally happy. And I think that's going to take you a little bit of time. Do not focus on contributing, not right now. Focus on what brings you joy, because if you can discover, which you can, everyone can, but very few people put a lot of energy into it. Just ask others who have found their passion and it's their vocation. We know that we are in a small pool, unfortunately, compared to the rest of the human race. And it's actually heartbreaking when it first happens to you and you're so fulfilled and you're so excited, which when people find their passion, and if it's going to be a work situation for them, things just click and they just connect and roll together. And we do feel sad for the rest of humanity working jobs that they do not like, that are not fulfilling for them, that are really taking their energy away from them. I mean, all of us, I guess I speak mostly for myself, but I've talked to many people about this who have also a vocation that is joyful for them. And we wish that for everyone on the planet. Everyone's meant to have complete fulfillment in their life. That's normal. That's normal. So I think you should go get a fun job, whatever that means to you. Work in a nursery, I don't know, walk dogs, work in a coffee shop. I just like coffee shops because I do a lot of writing in them, and people are happy to go and get their morning joe, and they see their neighborhood friends when they go there, and the dogs are all tied up outside. I mean, it's just a really fun environment. So that's your homework. And I would get cooking, not because I'm worried about you, but because the more you keep applying for these, jobs that you don't even like, they don't even make you happy, where I felt zero passion in, I think you're wasting your time and your energy. So let's go do something to, let you relax about your resources to some degree. And then I think you'll be happy enough about that you'll be able to focus on your joy. And if someone says, "What are you doing? How come you're working at, so-and-so?" Just say, I'm doing my best to figure out my joy. I can't live another year on earth without figuring that out. And of course, we're not talking about any harm or self-harm or anything like that, but that's your passion, is discover your joys. Because when you know what those are, they lead you to productive, highly successful, highly lucrative work in the world. That's the ticket. That's the golden ticket. Okay. Good luck.
Hello, Marie. My name is Donna. I live in Eugene, Oregon. I am dealing with health issues. I have Raynaud's, ulcerative colitis, and IBS. So I am nutritionally deficient. I had childhood sexual abuse from the time I was born. I experienced that with siblings who have either died young or who are alive but are mentally ill. I've done talk therapy from the time I was 16, and I am currently 60 years old. I've gone to naturopaths, also acupuncturists. I've done hypnosis. I've spoken with psychic mediums. I've done energy healing, but I continue to be physically, mentally fatigued. I isolate. I do have friends, and very small family, but friends. I'm overwhelmed by the suffering in the world because I'm an empath, or I'm just highly sensitive. I relocated from California because it was very expensive, and I'm a single parent of an only child. I'm not sure if this was a good move for us or not. We are not real happy. My daughter is a gifted artist. She's in college. I believe she's afraid of her psychic gifts, which I feel strongly that she has. I'm looking for, continuing to look for new ways to deal with healing, and I appreciate any of your input around what would help me heal emotionally, mentally, psychically, and physically, just anything. I'm very grateful for many, many gifts in my life. I truly am. And I know my vibration is not very high. So I am working on it. Thank you so much for sharing any thoughts and for sharing your wonderful gifts with us all. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna, and you're very welcome. So, you've already done the work, but you're still stuck in the story. And logically, you have every right to be there. But as long as you stay in this story that you've done significant work on, you're going to remain in victim consciousness. And as long as you remain in victim consciousness, you're going to continue to create victimization, and you're not going to get well. Victim consciousness is a really low frequency and vibration. And it's really hard to heal because healing is at a high frequency. It's a higher vibration. Part of my job when I work with ill clients is to teach them how to raise their vibration over and over and over again, potentially. So here's your homework assignment. And of course, you never have to do anything I suggest, but I'm a big proponent of homework. I believe I'm a facilitator. I provide individuals with opportunities so that they can change and or heal their life. But I really believe that people heal their own lives. I truly do. And it brings me great joy to witness it and experience it with them. So you need a new family. And I'm not kidding. I want you to stop thinking about your childhood, your family of origin, like knock it off. You've already looked at it over and over again, and you're stuck in the victimization of it. And anything can heal at any moment, but people can't heal thinking the way they were treated or what happened with them. You have to have a different perception. So brand new family. I want you to write down 5 things that you wish had happened in your life as a child. And I don't mean write down 5 things you wish had not happened. I don't want you to write that, because then we're going back to victimization again. And you come across them logically, but it's time to stop vibrating in this energy. That's one of the reasons why you reincarnated to Earth, is to learn not to go into victimization. And thinking about the world's suffering is another form of victimization. Healers can't help their clients if they are feeling sorry for them or sad. Sometimes it's only happened to me a couple of times where I've been overcome with emotion when I work with someone. But most of the time, I'm just holding this space for them of incredible joy and happiness, because that's where I need them to be. I need them to become receptive. When people run their energy low, they can't take in energy, not enough anyway to help them to get better. And yet everything's made out of energy, and health requires tons of subatomic particles. So new family, 5 things that you wish had happened in your childhood. Again, not I wish these things didn't happen. We're not going to focus on those things. I really don't want you to think about it ever again. Why? It's a waste of your energy. We're much more than our human experience, right? We're even having multiple lifetimes all at the same time in different realities, mostly non-physical and some physical. You're an old soul. You've lived many, many lifetimes, and you brought down something you wanted to heal to Earth and also have fun here. Have a great time. So let's get with it. Let's stop focusing on something that happened, 50, 40 years ago. It's not helping you. That's for sure. Okay, so you've got this list, and now you need new parents. So they can even look like, maybe you had a friend who had really cool parents. They can look like orbs. They don't have to look like human beings. They can look like trees. You can make them up, but they cannot look like your parents. You cannot live in the same house. Not you. Maybe some other people can, but not you, because this is a really good exercise for lots of reasons, for lots of people. My guides taught me this exercise many moons ago, and I'm so grateful for it. So you have a different house, and you have brand new parents who adore you and love you and cherish you in every way possible. And I would love it if you spend about 15 to 20 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week in your mind, having beautiful interactions with these parents. And you're going to probably need to do it for like a year, which is actually a blessing to have this experience. Anyone can heal of anything at any time. Many times humans have to give themselves what they didn't get. They literally have to give that to themselves emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, which we can do. This is just, we live in a limited reality, but we're not unlimited beings. We can do whatever we want. We're gods, for goodness sakes. We can do whatever we want. So no more talking about it. Of course, you can do whatever you want. I do not think it's in your best interest. And the throat chakra is the most powerful vortex in the physical body. What we speak comes out of our throat chakra and comes right back to us like a boomerang. So if we keep talking about the painful and hurtful events in our lives, that energy keeps coming back to us. And it's really difficult to move through it when it is part of our constant communication. Now, people who haven't done inner work, they need to go see a therapist. They need to have a conversation. There's some people who've never talked about anything in their life, and individuals don't have to have the severity of some of the trauma that you've had to experience trauma, unfortunately. So those type of things are good for people who've never done that, or, need to have some sort of experience in that way. I always recommend therapists that are great at energy work, that are very conscious, who spend after you've had some talk therapy, we have to stop that too. We can't just keep rehashing that stuff. That's not healthy either. But that's your homework assignment. And be kind to yourself. Like, if you start talking about this stuff again, don't scold yourself. Just have as soon as you catch yourself, because it's kind of a habit for you. And you're making it sound like, in a way, I mean, this audience would never think of you this way, but because it's been such a interesting part of your experience, we don't want you to be limited by that experience. And you're actually not at all. Then you can figure out where you want to live, or all these other things really cannot be changed or resolved, because we need you to change your energy, and we need you to be at a higher vibration, and then you're going to see the world very differently. So have fun with your homework. All right. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Victoria, and I wanted to thank you because about 15 years ago, when I was still a teenager, my family drove up from Oregon to Washington to have a session with you. It was for my dad to have a session with you. And I believe you were still having sessions in your home. And my brother and I waited out in the car while my mom and dad were inside having a session for him and his prostate cancer diagnosis. And we're just so grateful because you really helped him with heal some childhood trauma that he'd had. And he's still alive and well. And we're just so grateful. Thank you. I'm calling now about myself. I went back to school about 2 years ago after doing a career change, and I went back to law school thinking I wanted to be a public defender or do some type of public service work. And right now I'm in a phase of my life where I would like to have a family soon and get pregnant, and I'm starting to kind of be concerned about what that energy around being a public defender and the heaviness around the profession, what that energy could do for like me as I'm trying to get pregnant, and also just for like a tiny body inside of me that's growing. I have learned through other energy workers that I'm an empath and an old soul. And so while I try to do different exercises that I've learned from you to protect myself from other energies, I do worry about what that may do for me as I'm trying to build a family. And also just feeling a bit of a loss because I went back to law school to work in marginalized communities. And so I'm not quite sure then what I would do with my degree if what I'm passionate about isn't necessarily good for me on an energetic level. So I guess my question is it bad for me on an energetic level? And what else do you see me doing with the law degree? Thank you so much for all your help, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.
Hi, Victoria. I actually remember your parents. All the people who fly in, who drove in when I used to see people in person, which I stopped just during the pandemic is when I stopped seeing people in person. So it's not that long ago. I remember many of them, and I don't have as many male clients as I have female clients. So I tend to remember the men well. I remember your parents. I had no idea, though, that you and your brother were in the car. I would have invited you in. You guys could have sat on the couch. I would have gotten you hot cocoa. But I remember both of your parents, and I'm not surprised your father's still with us. I knew he would have a full recovery, and I'm so grateful. They were smart to, go, oh, if there's a health issue, there's this underlying energetic / emotional reason. Energy runs on our body based on how we feel. And most people don't know how they feel. So if we come to an intuitive, a healer, the chances are that those feelings are going to come to mind, and the healer can exchange those with the person. And if the person is open and ready, which your father was, then they can work on those and release them and change to acquire new belief systems. Yeah, prostate cancer is typically a disease when the emotion of guilt is repressed. And it doesn't mean that the guilt is legitimate. Like guilt is a mind-made emotion. Humans should not feel guilty about anything. Everyone's doing the best they can. Everyone. And remember, we live on a planet with younger souls and older souls. I have an idea for you regarding career. You will not be a lawyer forever, by the way. No, you should not work in marginalized populations. Younger souls are here to learn compassion. They are the people who will be energized and fed and have the strength to take care of, incarcerated people as a defense attorney, a public defender. I mean, kind of the same thing, because the workload is enormous. And then walking in and out of prisons, perhaps, it's challenging. It's hard. And you're an old soul. So old souls are here to learn self-compassion, but old souls are just so attracted to giving and overgiving. It's hard for them to stop. But I have an idea. You might have to move. But I know they have offices in Washington, D.C., Seattle, and India. But my youngest is a lawyer. She's on maternity leave, kind of an extended maternity leave because she has 2 small children. But she has worked for a company called Landesa, which is based here in Washington State. And it's a very cool company. You might have to put some of it on hold at some point because the lawyers travel to places where there are tribes or other forms of First Nations or Indigenous people who have sold their land to a corporation like Coca-Cola or Nike. And the corporations pay for Landesa to make sure the deal is fair. So it is for humanity. It's a wonderful company. They mostly hire lawyers who do all of the work because they have to go to some of these places. Like my youngest has been to Malawi many times and has had to take cars way out in the middle of nowhere and stay in estates because there's no hotels there, and share a residence with like the military of a certain, country or something. But it's really fun, so that could help you for a little while if you want to really use that lawyer energy. That could be really fun. You get to go to the UN and be a part of conferences and give talks and, communicate with a lot of cool and interesting people. Yeah, I think it's a really cool job, and I think it's something that you would enjoy. And then I don't see you, whether you do that job. I do not recommend the public defender's job. When older souls overgive because they're supposed to be learning self-compassion, and exhausts them, it wears them out. And then we see old souls having health issues potentially or other problems in their life because they're not learning what they're meant to learn when they come to earth, which is self-compassion. So self-compassion means you do things that feed you energetically. That needs to be your first and foremost thought pattern when you're just deciding what to do, what you're going to do with your life. I see you as a coach. You could become an author. I think you'd be a great public speaker. I mean, the good thing about being a lawyer is you do learn how to write well, and you do learn how to communicate well. I think you would be much happier working in the multisensory world or the spiritual realm or whatever topic that would be helpful for humans to expand. I think you will love that significantly. I think you would enjoy it and give you some of the freedoms that you need if you enjoy raising your family, because not everybody enjoys it, which is fine. One parent might enjoy it and someone else may want to go out and bring home the bacon, whoever wants to, right? Doesn't matter. So that's what I think would be great for you. And tell your parents hello. And I'm so grateful your father is well and thriving. That's great news. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Asta from Klaipėda, and I would like to ask you a question about work, but I don't even like that word anymore. So I was just wondering, what is my soul's purpose? Because I feel like it's right near to me, but I also can't get a grasp of it, what I should do in real life right now, as I am also currently not working and I don't want to go anywhere, just to work. So I really can't get the feeling of what I am resisting, because I also feel like I am resisting something a lot. And I don't also know what to put my actions in now. So I would be really grateful for your messages and maybe messages from your guides or my guides. Thank you.
You're welcome, Asta. And yeah, whenever I work with someone, the guides are chatting it up for sure. My guides with whoever I'm talking to's guides. So you're not that close to it, in my opinion, because I can't see it. When people are close to discovering their, magnificent or an aspect of their magnificence, I can see it, I can hear it, I can feel it. I recommend that they go in a certain direction, but you're kind of far away from it. Not far, but not as close perhaps, because you need to work on self-love. And remember, it's an emotion, it's not a thought, it's an experience. When people fall in love with themselves, They raise their vibration, which allows them to hear, see, and feel the multisensory world, allows them to connect to their higher self, God, creation, the universe more consciously. And that's how you get insight. That's how you get awarenesses. It's like you get to feel things. I'll give you a little example. It's kind of personal. I mean, it's not, but it's kind of personal. So, I have 2 books, one written and one recorded, right? And they're different books. One's called How to Communicate with Your Spirit Guides. The other one's called Intuitive Self-Healing. And I've had some book ideas for a while. Like I've started 3 books, but just started them, just barely. And I've never really felt, of course, I have a very busy career and I raised my children. Like I'm one of those people who wanted to have a full life, not just devote myself to my work, even though I love it almost as much as I love my kids. So I've had a full life, I have friends and travel and family and, it's really been a blessing, but I couldn't really fit the writing into my life again. And it's been 12 years since I published either of those products. So I thought I need to take a class or something, and so I decided I was looking at classes online and I found one that glowed because I know how to raise my vibration. I also know how to love myself, which is something humans have to do every day for the rest of their existence. When you're outside of a body, it's super easy to love oneself. I mean, it's not complicated. And when people raise their vibration, they start to hear the universe and feel the universe connecting with them. And it's a very loving, joyful experience. So I chose this class that I'm taking, which I really love. It's a fabulous class. And I've enjoyed every meeting that we've had and the homework, but I know I made an excellent choice because I felt happy and I noticed that it was happiness and I chose it. And I started to have a little bit of a breakthrough regarding it recently. And it's funny because my mind, in this breakthrough that I had thought about it before, but I thought, oh no, that'll be too hard. That'll be too tedious. When I write my classes, and I write my classes often, I teach a ton. I'm writing a 20-week course for the Shift Network right now. I use pad and paper. I do. It's just an easier way for me to channel information, and then I put it into the computer. But I didn't want to do that regarding writing a book. I just wanted to put it into a computer. I didn't want to handwrite it. I just thought that took too long. But what I felt as I was in the class yesterday, and that was brought up a little bit, I just knew it's the right thing. And today I wrote for like 5 hours and had a blast. So in falling in love with yourself, you begin to feel happier and more joyful, and you begin to recognize higher frequencies of energy. And that's what leads people to a perfect mate, wonderful, healthy, healing remedies, an amazing career, fabulous hobbies, great friends, cool place to travel, the right place to live. All of those things are identified because a person recognizes how their vibration feels when it's elevated. And you were taught the opposite of self-love, in my opinion. And I know you're a free spirit. I love that about you. I think that's very, very cool. But you're going to need to fall in love with yourself. And then everything will make sense. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Sandra calling from Boulder, Colorado. I have a question about my relationship, and you've been talking about your earth partner should be someone that you have fun with, and I definitely have fun with him. And I'm just curious to hear any read you get as far as us both being old souls. It just seems to work and flow, and we have fun. And I'm just curious about what, if anything, you feel. Thank you so much, Marie. I wish you a beautiful, lovely, bright day.
Thank you, Sandra. It has been a beautiful day, although I did get caught in the rain. Charles and I went for a walk before I sat down to do the podcast, and we got drenched. I mean, it is Washington State. Now it's not raining. And he smells like a wet dog, even though he just had a bath a couple of days ago, and my hair is still soaking wet. I'm not really sure why you've called to ask me this question, because it sounds like all your boxes are checked off. Do you just not trust yourself and you're having fun? You believe you're both old souls. So I don't know what the problem is. I'm not picking up on, like any major issues, but I think you need to work on trust. I think you need to trust yourself and trust the universe. I was listening to Alan Cohen recently, and he said, and that's the writing class I'm taking from, is from Alan Cohen. He teaches a lot of online courses. And he recommended that everyone in the class say this one phrase, who walks with me today? I thought that was a really cool phrase. I want you to start working on your own trust, because I really feel like there's a whole amazing life for you. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with your life, by the way. A lot of people, their life gets better when they get happier. You get happier, your life improves, and it's get better and better and better. It's really quite amazing. But I want you to start really feeling your connection with the divine and start working in collaboration with the divine. Like, we are not alone here. Everyone has helpers. Everyone is connected to the multisensory world. Everyone has spirit guides. And there are beings that are devoted to the evolution of humanity, just like there are humans that are devoted to the evolution of humanity, me being one of them. So who walks with me today? I want you to get curious about your own trust, because I think could have been a very different question, although I'm so happy for you and I wish you the best in this relationship. I also wish you the trust that you deserve to have with yourself. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. I'm Karen from Seattle. I've been dealing with a rectal prolapse for some time. The surgeon recommends abdominal surgery using mesh to repair this. I do not trust this at all, and I fear at my age this would be a big deal to recover from. A reader told me there would be a less invasive procedure coming down the pike within 12 to 24 months. He also told me this surgery is in my Akashic record, and so I will have it done.
Great.
My desire is to continue with PT and find natural means to fix this.
Yeah.
I really value your advice and would appreciate your guidance. Thank you.
Hello, Karen, and I'm so sorry for the prolapse. It's not fun, and I agree. I think your intuition is right on about the mesh netting, and I'm sure that there are people who've had successful procedures with the mesh netting. However, I watched a documentary on Netflix about it, and there has been quite a few issues with it. So I think your intuition is correct. I would not go along with that particular surgery, and I'm sure something else will come along. There's also a person who does some interesting muscle type work in our state. And I'm like, how do I get this information to you? Could you write it to the website, energyintuitive.com, and just briefly write what your question was? Because what really helps the pelvic floor is muscle work. That's why you're doing work with physical therapy. And this one person I know specializes in this form of muscle sensory work and can find out where the real weak muscles are. They may not be where you think they are. They could be in different places. Like, I was experiencing some back pain, and which I've had before. And of course, my muscles in my neck were really, really, really weak. And changing that helped alleviate the back pain. And then that creates permanent recovery from injuries that we have. Because I think of prolapse as like an injury, So we also know that this area of the body energetically is about joy. The second chakra governs the reproductive organs and parts of the intestinal tract. And this is also partially root chakra as well. So family of origin. But this is really about your joy. And I know I sound like a broken record here on this podcast, but I just don't think I can talk about it enough, and to get people to understand that we need to literally find authentic ways to feel happy. So even when I was, Charles, leave it so we can get out of the rain, I was also having fun getting soaking wet. Not this smelly dog part. I'm going to spray some conditioner, some natural conditioner on his lovely hair later, but he's now crashed out on the carpet. Yeah. I hope that's helpful. Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Elanor from Asheville, North Carolina. I've recently retired after a long career, and I'm loving it. I've always been focused on wellness and continue to be in my retirement. I take a lot of supplements, meditate, and exercise, and I've been dancing a lot. I wonder if you can do an energy scan and see what shows up. I may be on too many supplements and am interested in what you find. Also, I've been focused on my spiritual life and having fun and following my joy. Do you have any advice as to which direction I should focus? Thank you.
Thank you, Eleanor. I love Asheville, North Carolina. I've been there once because I gave a book talk at Mariposa, I think it's called. And so I spent a couple nights there. And this was a little while ago. And my assistant and I, who I was traveling with at the time, a former assistant, we were so happy because it really feels like you're in Seattle, but like from the 1970s in Seattle. There's like gluten-free food and, everything that you would want in Asheville, North Carolina. It's a pure, lovely hippie place. It is time for you to figure out what's next. I think you've been resting and recalibrating, which is important, taking a sabbatical. I love that you've been dancing. I think that's healthy and fun, and you've been finding your bliss. So the question is, if you could do anything in the world, and I want you to feel this for a few days, like people don't have to get the answer immediately. Like I didn't force myself to produce more books, even though in the back of my mind, like, what are you doing? You should be producing more books. I let myself have fun and enjoy myself and do many, many, many other things. I used to see 25 people a week in my practice. So that doesn't give a lot of extra time for writing, right? Now I see 6 people a week, but I teach 3 times a week and do a podcast and other, interviews with other people and things like that. So I want you to think about, I want you to explore it, and I want you to ask the universe to help you. Since you're dancing and you're feeling joy, I know you want me to help you. I know you do. And I think what I'm giving you this is what they're telling me to tell you to do, because there's a part of you, you're just so ready to absorb the information yourself. And there's a part of you that really wants to practice that muscle and get confident about it. Just as I'm writing now, and I can hear the universe saying, this is the perfect time for you to write. Like the other times before wasn't the right time. I was I had 3 daughters who got married. I mean, weddings take up a lot of time and energy, and then buying houses, and then them having babies. And then we had a pandemic. I mean, like, I've been a very busy person. So it's time for you to get your groove on with your connection with the divine, and you're ready. So, maybe sit down in the evening with a candle and, your favorite non-alcoholic beverage. And you look up at the ceiling and say, please express to me whatever's in my highest good for what's next for me. And then have a pad of paper and a pen, start doing some automatic writing, which means you do not think about it. You just put that pen there and close your eyes and wait till some language comes up and start writing that down. When I do automatic writing, it feels like it's really not the words that I would use. Like when I finish it, after you are finished writing, which could take 5 minutes to 20 minutes to do, number 1, you're going to see kind, loving comments towards yourself, because the universe really doesn't know how to communicate without love and compassion. It just doesn't. And new psychics and intuitives are people who are, who will become professionals, or people who, create this connection but don't want to do it publicly. It's like tear jerking when you start to feel the communication from the universe, because the love is overwhelmingly stunning towards each person the universe communicates with. It's overwhelmingly, it just will bring you to tears. So automatic writing, and get going. You're ready for all of this. You're ready. You don't really need me. I'm happy to help always, but they want you to get this on your own, because you have many, many other things to get to, and to have a life of receptivity with the multisensory world. That could be your great what if question. What if I'm receiving everything that is in my highest good through my own sensory perception? and it is joyful and easy. Have a beautiful day. And thank you everyone for listening. I'm going to go do other things now. Like get ready to teach a class tonight. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye for now.